welcome to the Ended Up in Vegas podcast. I'm Nikki.
I'm Megan.
Today we are with a voice you will know. He is known as Vegas Golden Pipes, Carnell Johnson. Thank you for being on our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us how you ended up in Vegas.
Born
and raised.
Yeah, born and raised. 1981. My mom moved here. Well, my mom moved here when she was 6 months old with my grandma, and they had been here for a long time, and I was just born here, so nothing drew me here. It's home.
Very cool.
So how did you get the gig of singing the National Anthem at Vegas Golden Knights games?
This is the one time where I can say I just auditioned for it. I literally went in, sang, and they chose me. That first season was one of 41 people, 41 home games. So I was only supposed to do it once. But when I sang it, they were just like, oh, can you come back and do the Canadian anthem? Yes. Like, oh, you come back again. And they kept winning. And hockey people are really, really superstitious. So they just kept having me come in, and then, made the Stanley Cup the first season all the way to the finals. And they were just like, well, I guess we have to keep you now.
I guess we have to keep you. Who coined the name Golden Pipes?
There's not one single individual that I know of. It was more of a collective, like one of the fans just reached out to me and was like, hey, we'd love to get you a jersey. What do you want on the back of it? And at the time, October 1 was still really fresh in everybody's mind because it was only 5 or 6 months removed from it. So I was like, I don't know. I really like the 58, the Vegas Strong, and a lot of people were doing that, which is great and wonderful, but they wanted something that was more congruent to me. So somebody suggested, well, we have the Golden Knights, you're a singer, Pipes is just the perfect thing. Why don't we do Golden Pipes? And there's only one of you. So that's where like the number one and the name came from, just a slew of people.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I love it. And that's how you're known now. So what was it like singing the National Anthem? And then at what point did we start to scream Knights or Night?
So, man, this is a hard question to answer because I being here in Vegas, we have hockey teams. We had hockey teams in the past.
Right.
And it was one of those things where you went to as like a novelty, There were a few people who were like diehard fans, but the locals as a whole would be like, oh, we're going to go to a hockey game this month, or in a couple months we're going to go to a hockey game. It wasn't something you went to all the time.
Right.
And so I didn't know that much about it. I had been to a couple, but it didn't dawn on me how cold it was going to be.
Okay.
That's the thing I can remember the most is stepping out onto that ice and being like, oh yeah, this has to be freezing.
Yeah.
So it has to be cold in here. So I was in a suit the very first time I went out, and I remember like, thin pants. So like I just started shaking because I was nervous.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was also getting cold, and I was like, okay, just make sure if I get called again, do that next time. And as far as Night getting yelled goes, they did that before I even got there.
Okay.
So it was one of those things where I had friends who had already been to games. I didn't sing until 5 months in.
Oh, okay.
So I had other friends who were just like, hey, just so you know, they're going to yell Night when you get to Gave Proof Through the Night. Don't let it throw you off. Just kind of, be aware. So I decided, it was literally in the moment. Like as I was singing, I was like, oh, they're getting ready to yell this. Why do I need to say it? So that's when I decided to pause for it and just let them take care of it, because it's just more breath that I get to take.
Yes.
Were you a hockey fan before?
Not really. I mean, we had the Mighty Ducks surge back in the 90s. And so I loved all those movies. And, I got the rollerblades and I got the street hockey gear. And where I grew up, we had, actual long driveways instead of just enough for a car. It was enough for like 5 or 6 cars.
Yeah.
So I could put a little hockey net at the end, and I could play hockey just in the driveway. And so that was my extent of hockey knowledge growing up, minus Wayne Gretzky, knowing who he is.
Right.
But I don't know if I could ever call myself a fan until the Golden Knights got here.
Yeah.
How many times had you sung the national anthem before you started singing at Knights games?
A handful, a little more than a handful. I'd sung it at school just for a lot of things, for like school basketball games. I sung for the Rebels a couple times for like I remember a women's volleyball game. When we had the minor league team, the 51s here, I sang it once for them. I was in a group in middle school that I sang. So yeah, I mean, maybe all in all, 30 times, and that's just me shooting in the dark.
Yeah.
Where now it's been a couple hundred, verging on going to 1,000, because I get a lot of other people. I get a lot of conventions and stuff asking me. They want to do before their general conference or their general meeting. They're like, oh, we want to open with the national anthem. So minus my 41 games a year, I'm also doing it another 10, 20, 30 times just around the valley.
Very cool. Very cool.
What's it like being part of the Vegas Golden Knights organization now, especially after winning the Stanley Cup?
Oh, man, it's been a wild ride, just the whole thing. After that first year, started getting a little bit of like notoriety. I've been as a singer and actor, we're auditioning for years and years,
right?
And there might be something we land and we're good for 3-4 years, and then nothing will happen for 5 years. So it's one of those things where when that hit, I was like, okay, this is cool, and I started getting noticed, started getting more calls to come and sing. But I will say, after we won the cup, it kind of exploded. Like my social media exploded.
Yeah.
Got a lot more inquiries to come and sing, to come and even to come and talk. My old high school got a hold of me and were like, hey, we want you to come work with the choir here. So it's definitely set some sort of movement. I don't even know what to call it, but it's boomed. It's boomed my whole career.
Kind of a cult following online, especially when people were talking about the other singers from like the Florida team and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They're like rabid fans.
Yeah.
It's a little insane, it's one of those surreal things, I guess you could say.
Okay.
This is pretty endemic to hockey, of having one person sing for the season. So there are other teams that have their singers, and they actually do their own things. Like they'll yell certain words, like the Dallas Stars, they yell stars. The Calgary Flames will yell, "Oh, say can you see?" for Calgary. The Winnipeg Jets, during the Canadian anthem, they say "True North." They yell that. So it's pretty cool to be part of that community of this thing that's already been established, really, and I'm just enjoying it.
I guess, is it the Panthers? They have a team player that's Knight or whatever, and so they yell Knights too or whatever. They yell Knight.
Yeah, they have that. I know they're also trying to do red, and the Rockets red glare, just because of that's one of their colors.
Got it.
So that one is going to take a little time to catch on, I think. But everybody, they'll get their thing.
I think it's so interesting to me because when hockey was first coming here, I was like, hockey to the desert? I think a lot of people thought that.
Yeah.
And then to get into the behind the scenes stuff to it, it's really neat.
Well, and I think that speaks as, someone who's born and raised here also. Like when I was the same way, I was like, I'm not like a super hockey fan or, even a super sports fan. So I didn't know, but it was really the shaping of what, happened tragically right before the season started. And I think when you touch on the community aspect of it, that's where it was built from, right?
I think so. It's one of those silver linings. It born out of tragedy. It's unfortunate that everything happened, but it was just one of those things where it was being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
If we wouldn't have had that tragedy, would we be as big as we are now? Probably not. I mean, we got to the Stanley Cup, which is phenomenal, which is great. But it's one of those things where I mean, you can look back on it all you want and say, well, what if? But I just don't know if it would have the impact that it did
Yeah.
When it did, because they really came in and they really went out into the community. They really helped us heal. They gave us a place to go and kind of get this grievance out by having a night of just, not thinking about it, just having a night of fun and having that. I don't know. There's so many words that it could be, but it was really just, putting that city on their back and being like, hey, we know a lot of you have been here for a long time and we're new, but we're not going anywhere, and we're here to really be there for you guys.
Yeah. And that's what we saw. They showed up to give blood. We, saw their humanity within the first game and first few games. And it was really just a place where all of us who didn't know what was going to happen with Hockey in the Desert came to be with Hockey in the Desert, and then found out. But I think that with the love also comes the hate, right? And like the internet's just the best place ever for both.
Absolutely, because you can get on there and be tough and not have to look anybody in the eye or in the face. And it was, these people who have been hockey fans for decades are getting on, and at first it was like, oh, you're getting a shit team. It's, they're not going to amount to anything. These are all the people that they didn't want. Nothing's going to happen. And then at the end of the season, it turned into, you were handed the best team ever.
Yeah.
You guys were, they picked them specifically for you. And it's like, okay, well, choose a side. I don't care what side you choose, but choose a side and stay on that.
It.
Exactly. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. Well, and I think, like when it comes to terrible, I think I saw your reply to a really terrible tweet that someone sent out in regards to the shooting. And then it becomes super personal, where it's like, look, this isn't about sports or, this is like, are you just gross and like just a troll on the internet, just coming here to, rile people up?
And yeah, that's a big thing, is like, I think, some people, that's all they do. They just want to rile people up. And, they don't care what they say or who they offend or anything. And normally I don't get into battles on social media because they're pointless in the long run. You can say whatever you want to say, but, words are just going to be words. But when you start bringing in like a big tragedy like that, and to something that I posted, like if it was something that somebody else posted, I probably wouldn't have said anything. But because it was something I put out there, and then they're the ones that come on and say, oh, all that Vegas deserves is a country music festival, and I'm like, cool, it was it was hard to read that. And it was hard to say what I really wanted to say. But I was like, you know what? Let me show at least people who are looking at me. Let me show them, how ugly it is, and how it's like, you don't have to be that way. It's like, why put the energy into that? Why not just, if you see something, and even if you think it, I still don't think you're that great of a person, but just let it go by. It takes way less energy to not respond, just be like, oh, I think this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, next.
Yeah.
But people have to do something.
Yep. Through the years of living in Las Vegas, how do you see the sense of belonging having changed from the Golden Knights? Like, we grew up in the Rebels era when, this town was a big deal from the Rebels, and now it's a big deal because of the Golden Knights.
It's very reminiscent of that early 90s Rebels team, Larry Johnson, Stacey Ogman, Armin Gilliam, George, I can still remember all those guys. And growing up in Vegas, we didn't have pro sports for a long time. We had adjacent sports. We had Los Angeles was close, or my cousin, he was a 49ers fan. He lived in Sacramento, but San Francisco's right there.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have something to really rally around until the early 90s Rebels, when they won the championship. And I can always remember, like, my grandma, huge Rebels fan. She still is. She doesn't watch them as much, but she was a huge Rebels fan. And so she would be in one room with the TV in the other room but like, so she had a line of sight to it.
Sure.
And she was, pacing back and forth, yelling at the TV. And I'm in, here, what is it, early 90s. So I was 9, 10, 11. And I'm here thinking like, this lady is crazy, like pacing back and forth. During the playoffs, I find myself behind my couch, pacing back and forth, watching the TV, yelling at it. And so I'm like, I get it now, you know? And it took something like that to really make me understand what sports can do for a city. Because a lot of people are just like, oh, they're just, they get paid so much to just go out there. And I'm like, well, yes, but it's so much more than that. And I think a lot of hockey fans in general all over the world would agree that, especially, like the Toronto Maple Leafs or the Ottawa Senators, people that have been around for a long time and have never won a cup, or there are teams that have never even been to the playoffs, will tell you, if they make it there, or if they make it, I think the Leafs made it to the second round this past Stanley Cup run, and they either have never made it or it's been 40 plus years since they've made it. So like, when they beat that first round, they celebrated like they won the cup. And I get it now, It's like, we celebrate too, and we've only been around for 6 years. So it's, it really is a big thing of bringing all these communities together.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit on the podcast, but were you down at I'm assuming you were at the Victory Parade?
Yes.
It was I've lived here 23 years, so I moved from California, and I've been on the Strip for like New Year's and other things. I've never been on the Strip for an experience like that. It was like Mardi Gras with sports, and it was like, I was like, this needs to be a thing, even if we don't win the Stanley Cup every year, which we probably won't, but like we need to, it was surreal.
It was definitely one of those things. I've been here I was born and raised here, but I've moved away and came back a couple times. So I've been here for 38, 9 years, somewhere around there. Yeah. And not once have I gone down to the Strip on New Year's. This is the only other time where I would think that it would be even somewhat remnant of what that would be. Yeah. But on my side, it was nice because I wasn't like crowded up against a fence.
Right.
I got to walk along and everything. It was cool. I could have gone for another 2 or 3 miles easily.
Yeah.
Just, I was having so much fun. I was jumping from a truck to a bus to a fire truck. I would run to one side, then I'd run over to the other, and they were like, "Oh, bring us stuff." So I would like go and get them to throw me a bunch of beads and shirts and pucks and everything, and I would like, it was pretty much just on that that west side of the Strip, traveling down towards MGM. But, there were people on the other side, and unfortunately, they didn't get a lot of what was going on. So I was just like, give me some stuff, and I'll run over there. So it was just fun.
We were on the Hard Rock side, and there was like 2 cheerleaders that ran over and did something, but everybody else was on the other side. But I've been to the Strip for New Year's and other things. I don't think I've ever seen that many locals on the Strip.
No,
ever.
Never. I totally agree. It's the people who were from out of town. Yeah, I'm sure there were a couple that came in, but most of them were probably just there on vacation. They're like, "Oh, what's going on here?"
So cool.
Where'd you go to school?
Green Valley.
So you grew up in Green Valley. I'm assuming. Where's your hood now?
Now I'm in the Silverado Ranch area. Out by the M.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, what do you think is your favorite side of town?
That side. Yeah. There are places that I'll go. That's like the best way I can
favorite restaurants? Like, do you have favorite restaurants in that area that makes it specific?
No, I try not to eat out too much. Just save money. But I will say the M had the best buffet before COVID, and I know almost any local will say the same thing.
I would agree,
especially that Sunday brunch, where you had seafood and prime rib and everything. I heard that it's opening back up, and I've heard that it's even open back up, but it's like you can't even get in right now because we all know how good it was. But yeah, other than that, my kids and I go to In-N-Out a lot. Yeah. But that's just because it's easy and close.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing on a Sunday when the weather is perfect and there's not a game?
Staying home. I mean, my son plays hockey too, and his games are normally on Sundays.
Okay.
So, I'll take him down to the Las Vegas Ice Center and have him play his games. But I work 5 days a week. During the season, there'll be games on Saturday or Sunday. And if I don't have to do anything, I just want to stay home. It's, people will call me and be like, hey, I'm in town. I was like, cool, have fun.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
It's like that meme that's like, great.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah,
Good for you.
Just go. And I mean, if they want to meet up, you're like, oh, can I come see you? I'll be like, yeah, you can come to the house.
Yeah.
Or, like, if they're going to be at a game, I'll we can meet up somewhere even at a game. But even at games, like, I'll have people who are like, oh, I'm at the game. I'm at this section. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Enjoy the game.
Yeah.
I have to go and sing every single game.
Yeah.
I love it. I say half/want. I'm very thankful for it. But once I'm done, like, I don't want to run around to 10 different places in the arena just to go say hi to you people. I love you. I cherish our friendship, but I'm going to one place. If you want to come see me, great. Come see me. We'll chat. We'll have a good time.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing like Chance and the Golden Knight. They get paid to go around to those places.
Sure.
Once I sing, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm not getting paid for that. So I'm like, cool.
Enjoy
Come
the
see
game.
me.
Enjoy the game.
Yeah. Come buy me a drink.
Yeah. Where else can we see you performing cameos? And I'm sorry I left out the Las Vegas Aces in my mention of, the Rebels. And I think that their team needs to be mentioned anytime we mention the Rebels and the Golden Knights. So that was my mistake. But are we going to be seeing you at Aces games? Like, where else do you pop up in town?
So I have a duo that I'm part of. Our name is Cover Lane, and it's actually the Canadian Anthem singer who sings for the Golden Knights. Okay. She's also the National Anthem singer for the Silver Knights.
Okay.
She's my best friend. Her name is Lene. And we have a cover band that just plays around town in bars, restaurants. We play out in Summerlin at Frankie's Uptown. We play at the M
Cool.
at their lobby bar. Wherever really will hire us.
Yeah.
So, and as far as other sports teams, I'll usually do like one a season for the other teams. Like normally the Aces will call me, the Aviators, the Lights FC. They'll usually get a hold of me to come and do one of them.
Sure.
But they all know like the Knights is my main one. I actually even did. Technically, the first Raiders game that was here, that it was a home game, was me, but it was like in the throes of COVID. It was September of 2020.
Okay.
So I had to come in 3 days before. I had to record it not even close to the field. I was up by the torch.
Okay.
But they played that one their first game.
Okay.
So I can say that I sang before Whitney Houston did because they played hers the second
cool.
game.
Yeah, that's
that is
awesome.
So cool.
Yeah.
So when you sing a cover, do you have a genre of music you prefer or that you love?
Our genre, we just say yes. Like we'll do 50s, 60s, we'll do pop, we'll do rock, we'll do ballads. I sing a cover of Ice Ice Baby. We have an acoustic cover of Billie Jean, but then we'll do stuff from Dua Lipa, Elton John, it's Jonas Brothers. It's really all over the place. We like to do a whole bunch of things and not just focus on one genre because people like different things.
Yeah.
We're not going to go out there and just sing an entire set of John Mayer.
Right.
We're going to do one John Mayer tune, and then we're going to do an Alicia Keys tune. Nice. And then we're going to do a Beatles tune, and then we're going to, we just keep it rolling. So, it's a whole bunch of different things.
I love that.
So you play instruments then too, right?
I do. I play guitar mainly now, but I can also play piano. I grew up taking piano lessons. And back in the early 2000s, I was a drummer for a local band here.
Cool.
So I kind of have those under my belt.
Yeah.
When did you fall in love with music?
Yes.
Yes. Always?
As long as I can remember, my mom and dad were both musical, both, singing in high school. My mom even sang in college. My dad danced. And there are cassette tapes of me. For those of you who don't know, cassette tapes are these little things this big, and they have like a magnetic film on them, and you put them in a little player, and it played it back to you. We didn't just have to click a button. But there were cassette tapes of me singing along to Wham and Cyndi Lauper when I was like 2 or 3 years old.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, literally, as long as I can physically remember?
Yeah.
I've been in music.
I love that.
Yeah, and you have a bit of history here too, like working on the Strip. Tell us some of the shows you've been in.
So the main thing I've done on the Strip is I was a gondolier down at the Venetian, rowing boats, singing to people outside all year during the summer in pants. I had to wear sleeves because we weren't allowed to show our tattoos. I did that for 8 years, and that's the most prominent thing. I've also done shows at the Hard Rock. I did shows at House of Blues. And then I've been part of like charity shows. There's a charity show called Golden Rainbow, and it's a fundraiser for like AIDS research and stuff. So that's something I've been a part of. Living here in Vegas and getting into the entertainment scene, you start doing a lot of different things. So it's been fun, just making those relationships with people, and now some of them I've been friends with for 10, 12 years now.
We're part of a Ladies of the Night Facebook group. Are you familiar with that?
I am, yes.
We would like to cordially invite you on behalf of our other Ladies of the Night to be at one of our events if you would like to be.
So, yes. She's going to kill me if I don't get this right. And if it is, just cut it out. But my girlfriend is actually an admin for one of the groups.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's the Ladies of the Nights group or if it's just one. I know there are a few of the groups. I can't remember the exact title that she's an admin for, but it's like her and 6 other ladies are the admin for this. And she's like, I'll never ask you, but if somebody else asks you and you want to say yes, whatever. I was like,
Here.
Okay. I was at the Ryan Reeves one last year. I know that was one of the ladies groups.
Yeah.
And it was at out at Distill.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the only one I can remember right now.
Very cool.
Well, hello, Ladies of the Night. Thanks
making
for
it
watching.
happen.
We're trying to make it happen for us. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for being on our
Thank you.
podcast. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you for having
We really
me.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Go Knights, go.
Go Knights, go.
Heck yeah.